Well, I think Digger needs a new shovel. Oh, I uploaded a video. Well, it's not uploaded yet. It's uploading right now. On my slow phone, it takes about an hour to upload anything. That's why I do lives when I come on here. But no, I do some uploads now and again. But I got an upload coming up. There's some excerpts from Barry's last show. I think he wore out his shovel, is what I think, and I think he needs a new shovel. If you want to create a fund to buy him a new shovel, then I think maybe now is the time to do it. I sat there and I listened to his bullshit on and off, and I have to tell you the truth, just the honest truth, as Gilda's my witness. It got to a point I couldn't even listen to his bullcrap anymore. Even listening to his voice was irritating as hell. I understand he's got a lot of time on his hands, and he has literally, not figuratively, gone crazy. You could tell in his voice, you could tell what he talks about, and he repeats himself. And he even says that yeah, I did say that I called the kids, but you're not going to believe everything I say. Just to sit here on a live show and even talk about this is actually really stressful for me. Anything to do with this guy is just really, he's more of an irritant than a stress. I'll change the word. He's more of an irritant. Even his voice. And watching or listening to his mentality break down progressively as time goes by is kind of an interesting study on human nature in itself. And I certainly, because I listen to his shows, because I do record his stuff. And I've seen well, you want to call it a progression, not in a positive way, but a progression of which seems to be some really serious mental illness based on exactly what we hear on his show. It's gotten to a point of either he's going to have a nervous breakdown or, give the man enough rope and he'll hang himself, but he's been doing that all along anyway. And he had no right playing or showing any legal papers. I've been over this before. Maybe you think I'm joking around when I say that maybe somehow, some way, he's gotten used to his accommodations because he hasn't had anything better than that since he's ever lived actually in this country. When you think about it, free room and board, if you think about it, has girlfriend visiting him, and he gets to, which is it's still been amazing to me with all the reports to immigration about the excessive or even any use of his cell phones and Xbox and all that stuff. I'm still amazed to this day that immigration did not confiscate that equipment because every show he puts on is in regards to me. And you all know the reasons why he has a court case going on. It's all obvious. But he persists on doing that, which tells me that there's some really incredible mental illness going on there because nobody in their right mind would continue in the direction that he's been in consideration of all the legalities he has against him. But we're not just dealing with anybody, we're dealing with Mr. Barry Jordan. And I was getting a kick out of his tough guy routine of how he strung up some guy that messed with his niece or something. Oh, yeah, and he had a dog named Dodo or something. Only me and my uncle. Always with his uncle. The dog only likes me and my uncle. And I asked the question to this guy, did you mess with my niece? That he's told the dog to go bite him and bit him in the foot. He has a man strung up on a tree. Okay, get this picture. Okay. And then he told him to go bite his nuts, and he did. These stories are coming from a man who has a small man complex, and If he's ever gotten into fights in his life, it was with somebody of a lesser degree, such as a woman, that he could feel more control over. He goes, I'm a violent person. Well, thanks for admitting that. I think you are violent, but in your own mind, I think you have more of a propensity to be violent toward women than men because you can't handle men. You come up with this tough guy complex all the time, and it's routine. I'm not afraid of nobody, but we all know that you said yourself that you were afraid of Ned, for one. That's one of them. You don't want anything to do with Ned, but you just said that I'm not afraid of no man. But that situation at that bar with you and Big Head, and you admitted that I don't want nothing to do with Ned because you know he would annihilate you. So, cut the tough guy routine. You've never come through with anyone on here that you had a problem with, and all you'd ever said, you're going to kick this person's ass, you're going to kick this other person's ass. You're not going to kick anybody's ass. You probably couldn't kick that Indian guy's ass that was your cellmate. But you like to pick on the weak, like women. We know how you talk to women, and we all got recordings of that. You could boss women around because you figure you can get away with it, the weaker sex. But you're not going to do that with a man. And let me tell you something. If I was in the same cell unit as you, I'd like to see how tough you'd be with me. That would be something worthwhile for a video. I'd like to see how tough you'd be with me. Tough talk doesn't mean you walk the walk. Oh, I didn't realize there was anybody on here. Yeah, I saw Stefan says, I saw that guy, WTF, say to him, you didn't do anything illegal. And Barry said something, he doesn't care. It's illegal to him, and he'll do and say whatever he wants. I know, he has that attitude. And WTF goes both ways, so I don't think he's welcome on my show anymore here. And I did notice that predominantly on that show, there was a lot of hecklers of him. People were saying things that, his propensity to talk about a fucking song with a kid, and they're trying to tell him that this is all you talk about. Like, is that all you got? And this so-called singing a song to a kid routine that he's been doing consistently has no bearing on a court case. And whose court case is it? It's my court case against him. It's not the other way around. So the things he says now can actually really affect the outcome. Remember, I'm not on trial. He's on trial, not me, and he has to put that through his head. He's not in the driver's seat in this situation. Sure, he's hopeful about what could happen with his girlfriend's report, but there's been no resolution on it. And as I said, there are other avenues to take if it didn't go in my direction. He admits a lot of things on that show, actually. He admits, yeah, I said that. I said that about contacting her children. Then he just kind of denies it. He goes, I could say anything, but it doesn't mean I mean it. Well, he continually called me a pedo, and you said you meant it. And that's what you're on trial for. See, when you're dealing with somebody on his, I hate to use the word intellectual level, but let's just call it that, his intellectual level, which is not very much intellect at all. We have caught him in so many bugaboos where he makes a statement and then makes another statement that totally retracts from what he said. He'll admit something and then forget that he admitted something. I don't know. What's that? He does seem very concerned that Gilda. Yeah, Gilda is more than upset. More than upset. That's all I'll tell you. Yeah, she had enough of this. I'm speaking for her because she's not like me, at least verbally, and being as open as things as I am and as extroverted as I am. But I know her well enough to know that she's not happy with him at all. And this has been going on for years. He says he never talks anything about her, but he continually does. Where there's just some innuendos that come straight out and says something, you know. She's tired. And when it comes to her kids, that's well beyond me. She cares about me. She cares about what happens in court. She wants to see him get prison time. That's why she's a witness too. Oh yeah, she wants whatever the judge could possibly give him. She's all behind me on that. But I will tell you that she's very sensitive about her children. She's very sensitive about that. And yes, the fact is, if there was a God, I swear before God, I don't know what else to, I don't have to feel I have to convince my audience, but I will tell you that it is a fact that he did message his children. And how he did that is he found her page and he's seen who the contacts were. And these were some of her children that he did contact with Messenger. And what he did say was that the man that your mom is dating or living with is a child molester. And boy, she was pissed about. She's still pissed about that. She's fuming about this. Absolutely fuming about this. She's not like me though. If it was an American woman, she'd come on here and she'd be just she'd be a Karen like you wouldn't believe if she was an American woman, a woman. She'd be on here calling him every expletive in the fucking book. She feels that way, but she's just not as expressive as I am. Look, I know because I lived with her 9 years now, and she's not happy with him at all. So I gave her that choice. She has her own money to do this. As you could handle your own legalities on this. Because I'm at that point now where there's no turning back on anything at all. He had a lot to say on his last night's show, which of course I recorded. And he really put himself and exposed himself in a position showing that he is mentally ill. He talks very about violence. He says, I'm a violent man. I mean, this is all the great free evidence that I get off this guy. It's like he's feeding me. He's feeding me. He's putting food on my table in a sense of information, which can be and has been used against him and will continue to be. Okay, I gotta read it. Were those kids underage at the time? Yes. Yes. Yes, they were. And although I can't prove it, there's one thing I can't prove. Do you remember that time? Have you been following me long enough, and I mentioned it several days ago? He had sent me a picture of his dick. Well, it's supposed to be his dick, but unless he's John Holmes, that wasn't his dick. And the surrounding was a very fancy place. Okay, so I knew it wasn't him, but he went on Pornhub or some shit like that and had this picture of a guy's dick. And I know you're going to be cringing at this, but it's the truth. He also sent that picture. I don't know the exact words, but I could give you an idea of what he said. He had sent that to her third youngest daughter. And I'm not going to give you the exact words because I can't. But it was something like, the guy that your mother is with, do you think his dick is as big as mine? Yeah, you heard right. You heard right. You heard right. It's not the exact quote. It was something in that line. Or I could just make up some bullshit. But I'm telling you, it wasn't an exact quote, but it was in that line. Yeah. And she thought it was so disgusting that she deleted it. And she was afraid to say anything to my girlfriend. It would be her mom. Though she told us later on. And I told Gil, I said, why didn't she fucking just keep that? Along with the messages that were sent to several of her children on Messenger. Hell hath no fury. Oh, let me tell you something. This has come to a peak. And I'm not going to explain in total what I mean by peak. I could just basically give you an idea that I've had it with this guy. This has gone completely too far and too long. And I don't have any choice but to take the biggest action on him that I possibly can. That's never going to change. He's trying to intimidate me all the time to drop the charges, even in light of the fact that he has his girlfriend to put a report on me, a totally bogus report. But we'll address that too. Believe me when I tell you, we will address that issue. We will address that, and we have been addressing that. But he figures that's the ace in his hole. But what if that doesn't work out for him? He's vulnerable. He's very vulnerable. You don't realize what you're dealing with here with this guy on here. He's the lowest human you could ever meet. He's so hillbilly that a backwoods mentality, disposition. It's just amazing. I've seen things like this on TV with these hillbilly types and shit. But this is a reality here, man. This is a fucking reality. He is who he is. He's not hiding anything in that sense. He is who he is. Hold on a minute. Then he starts attacking me on his show. And it wasn't even me last night. Some copycat, as he finally found out, who made an ass out of himself in the process of thinking that it was me. But it took him a while to figure it out. Now, you all heard his show last night, and it seems to me, I don't know if you guys noticed this, I'll just have to use the word propensity. There's been a propensity or an increase in his vile manners and his temperament, and he realizes that as this trial is progressing, that he's getting a lot more concerned about the outcome of this, and he should be. I want to what you got to think about this. Some goober comes on there and he's upset about his situation, so he gets his girlfriend involved. And you guys know it's all bullshit. I never contacted his brother, never talked to his family, never met his girlfriend, never. And even though there's no evidence to produce it, he'll keep on saying, oh, you physically threatened my girlfriend. How is that even possible when I've never even met her, right? Never met her. And you guys been listening to me for a long time. I've never called her a whore or a prostitute. But I have to use that word again. His propensity for lies is amazing. But he even admits it. He goes, I admit I lie a lot. Well, we already know that. I mean, it's so obvious to all of us. Of course you lie a lot. That's what you do and what you've always done. But Barry, I know you listen to everything I put out on here. I will tell you something. You got a serious case against you right now. And I'm going to treat it as such. All your intimidation, all your little bullshit emails to me under a different name and trying to incite other people against me, this is all going to come to a grand conclusion at some point of the game. Excuse me, use the word game. It's no game to me. It may be to you, but you never met a man as serious as I am. You have caused a lot of problems. You have caused the very person in the world that I love the most, that I've been living with for 9 years, to be stressed out over this situation. She don't like you. Believe me, she does not like you, and she does not like your girlfriend. I will tell you that, and be quite honest about it. She don't like either one of you, and she will only tolerate so much when it comes to you. You talk about me harming children. I've never harmed a child in my life, and it seems that the only thing that he has to go on, which has no gravity at all, is a Muffin Man song, and that's all it really was, about using the word pee-pee in regards to Michael Fazio. I don't have to go over the whole situation again. How could you not be aware of? It's all he talks about. He thinks that's his ace in the hole, but his viewers try to tell him that it has nothing to do. Has nothing to do. Frank has a case against you. It's not it's not a trial against Frank. It's a trial against him. You, Barry. You got to understand that. You can say when your chance comes in court, say what you want. You got a new lawyer? Supposedly. Make good use of your lawyer. But I even question that. Because any lawyer of his would tell him that you need to be off social media. Stat. That you shouldn't be saying anything. You've got 5 charges against you, a lawyer would tell him. You need to be off YouTube. This guy who is so goddamn cocky, look what he does. What's Viking Sun? You can trace the email IP address and link it back to the owner. Well, I'll find somebody who's a little more technical than I am to do that, if I have to. Can you imagine? He sent a picture of his dick to me, and you notice this. I'm sure you guys are very aware of the fact that all he ever talks about is someone to come and suck his dick. Is he projecting? It must be ingrained in him because of what happened with his daddy. Because all he talks about, it doesn't have to be me. He'll tell one of his viewers, you come over here and suck my dick. I mean, you've heard that 1,000 times. Is he projecting? Perhaps. You got to understand, and I'm not going to make excuses for this guy. If indeed, unless he used that as a sorrowful story, but I think it's a true story because he's talked about it enough. He admitted that his father did things with him sexually as a child. Sure, that would scar. That's PTSD right there. Sure, that would scar a child into adulthood. So there's a lot of projecting, I think, going on here. A whole lot of projecting. Sometimes, guys, it's like you have to look at it this way, too. Maybe you're not involved with this case, but I just want you to understand something. I want you to look at it as a different perspective. If this guy was doing that to you, what would you do? I know you got different options. There's physical and there's legal. But would you stand there? Would you stand there and let that happen? I thought U.S. citizens get arrested for contacting children on social media. It's grooming, correct? Everything is him is grooming, I know. But look, there's a lot of things that he's done that you guys don't know about. Now, for legal reasons, I'm not going to put that on here. I happen to know a lot more stuff than the general audience knows. Believe me, I know a lot more stuff. I know what was going on when he was living in a second floor unit. It was at the time during the happening with the COVID. They were just about to arrest him. They have a arrest. What do you call that? A summary arrest. They had the paperwork going because of the COVID. They didn't arrest him, but my so-called confidant guy that I used to talk about, he actually escorted an officer of the law to a residence he was living at. He didn't live there long, and he also skipped out on the rent, by the way. And he had the balls to go up there, not the officer, but the my so-called confidant. And he talked to the owner of that property. And I'm just going to quote what the owner says. I'm just a messenger here. That he had a lot of young girls coming in and out of his place when he was living there. I'm just quoting. He had a lot of young girls coming in that place. We're talking about underage. Now, what transpired with that, I don't know, and I can't tell you. Not only did he skip out on the rent, but he had underage girls coming in and out of his apartment. This is who we're dealing with. As I said, for legal purposes, I'm just a messenger, disclaimer. This is what the confidant had told me coming from the landlord's mouth. And she wasn't happy with him because he skipped out on the rent, as he probably does with every place he's ever lived in. He'll have his time in court. And the reason he's doing a lot of shows is because he figures he can get away with it. Now, I must admit, I don't understand the situation there, where immigration is perfectly aware. How could they not be? From the communications I've had, using his phone for the very purposes he shouldn't be using it for and having that freedom. I don't know how he's getting away with it. I don't know. I don't know if he's giving guards money. I don't know what he's doing there, but he's getting away with it. There are times that he drinks in his cell. We know what he sounds like when he's drinking and how cocky he gets, so it's a given. Even talking about the one time at a bottle of Jim Beam, he was asking his cellmate, do you want to go half on another bottle? Okay, there you go. Out of his own mouth. Mama-san says if he contacted children, he should be arrested, investigated as a, yeah. Well, there's only so many things you can bring up in court. And that's why, there's a second case that's going to be scheduled against him in regards to a separate issue from the particulars that this case is all about. But this time it's going to concentrate on the death threats and everything else. We got all that information. That's all in. Just like his admitting to be, of calling me a pedophile, the evidence was shown. He couldn't find his way out of that one when his mug appeared on the screen in the court, and he admitted. He can't get away from that one. That was a done deal. And he's so convinced that he's going to get a slap on the wrist and a small fine, but hey, I can't predict the future. Even for myself, I can't say this and that. I don't have, that kind of knowledge. I don't have a crystal ball. He lied to you people again about marriage. He still refers to her as his wife, but he doesn't want to produce a marriage certificate. It's the same Barry. It's the same guy you've been hearing for 10 years on YouTube. Lie after lie after lie. I mean, I've had it with him. You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, you got an idea, but you don't know to the level of how pissed I am with this guy and how far I want to take this. And the reason he's also mouthing off is because he feels like a babe in the woods. He knows there's evidence against him. He knows there's a good chance of him getting convicted and imprisoned. He figures that he has nothing else to lose. That's how he thinks. That's why he's being as cocky and continually cocky as he's been. There's hardly anybody that doesn't know about this guy and what's going on with this case and everything. There's hardly anybody on YouTube. Word has gotten out. That's good and it's bad at the same time. But I told you, I'm not allowing somebody to mar my character the way he did. And there's a good reason why I have this case on him. I would not have it any other way. Well, I would if I could. You just have to read between the lines on that statement. I would do it another way. I prefer to keep things legal because I have to live here. This has gone really too far. I'm actually tired of the back and forth shit. I'm exhausted with this. But he wants me to do what you might call a rebuttal to what he has to say. It gives him reason to put a show on because obviously he has nothing worthwhile to talk about. He doesn't have the capability of being a, quote, vlogger. He doesn't know what a vlogger is. It's like I tell my audience, you want me to do everything. You feel the same way I do about him. But what upsets me with my audience is that very few people have gone out of their way to contact the various departments. Remember, they don't take anonymous complaints. You have to show your ID. If you want to write any one of these agencies, like I said, the Department of Justice Cybercrime Unit, or what they call the Cebu District Office of Immigration, there's a number of entities you can write, but you have to be willing to identify yourself, which I would never know. It wouldn't go into my hands. You have to be willing to write these people, especially, what's that? He's foolishly fixated on a song used as a metaphor. Yes, exact. Metaphor. Great word. A metaphor. Okay. Thank you. I've been looking for that word, metaphor. It's a metaphor. Because that's all he's got. It's fixated in his mind. He has convinced himself, not his audience, he's convinced himself that I did something wrong with a child, and that's what the case was about. Wasn't it? Well, the Hawaii thing, it was a civil matter, not a criminal matter. Keep that in mind. He thinks the court is going to entertain that, but they're not. It has nothing to do with what the charges are on him. It's my case against him. He's got to keep on putting in mind that I'm not on trial. He's on trial. And I've seen the comments from people on there basically saying that this song, a fucking song, has nothing to do with your case. But that's all he's got to go on. And then the other thing, so many things he's doing wrong and against himself is showing legal paperwork on there, which he has absolutely no right to do. Now I'm going to see how far my attorneys go for me on this. I have not been totally happy with them. I told them they need to push this a little more, and I want to see file a motion to introduce a little bit more evidence on this, because the trial is coming up in March sometime, and I'm going to be testifying on the stand, and I want to be able to say some of the things I need to say or things to be presented. So that's what I'm working on right now. Put yourself in my position. You don't understand on a personal level what I've gone through, especially the past 3 years with this man, and what my girlfriend had to endure and persevere. You have no fucking idea. Believe me when I tell you she's not happy with this guy. She's not happy with him at all. And hearing his lies and denying that he ever tried to contact her young children. Guys, let me tell you something. There's a lot you don't know about him that I cannot legally bring up on this show. that I've gotten from very reputable sources. Unfortunately, I can't bring that up in court. And I can't even talk about it on here for legal reasons. He's done a lot of things that you'd be awfully pissed off about, and you want to hang him for it. Just trust me on that. It goes a lot deeper than you know, but unfortunately, once my lawyer put in the affidavits in there to get the prosecutor to go to court, that's the information that we have to go on. Except in my testimony, where we'll be able to release, by him filing a motion to release some other information out. And that's what we're going to be working on right now. No, it doesn't look good for him at all. The odds are that he will get some kind of conviction of jail time in prison. Max Marmison says, I know the type, the ones who repeat accusations over and over are guilty of the same. Well, it's projection. In a sense, it's projection. You know, whatever happened with his father sexually that he talked about on YouTube, it carried a long way into his adulthood. But speaking of adulthood, this is a 50-year-old man. And you listen to the way he talks on his shows, he has the mentality and the emotions of a 6-year-old. Obviously very uneducated. Very uneducated. Doesn't have a clue about anything. A man who's been so bitter all his life that he takes it out on his dates. You hear him say that women going to listen to me. Oh, I'm not going to hit nobody. But, well, he did say publicly that he did strike his wife over the issue of the child custody. And he did get 6 months imprisonment for that. He has proved that he has this propensity for violence. But in his situation, it's never going to be against another man because he wouldn't be able to do that. He's not physically capable. And his excuses of a bad back is just nothing but a lame excuse. He runs his mouth. He's going to beat the shit out of everybody. And how many people on here, how many names has he said he's going to, from Popeye to, you name all the names. He's threatened so many people on here with physical violence, something that he's not capable of doing to another man. And he's not. He talks about, yeah, get me in a cell with you. Yeah. I could envision that situation. As I said, he'd be hiding under his bunk bed. He would not want me in the same detention center as he would be in. Trust me when I tell you that. He would not want me there. Because he'd be living in fear of not knowing what's going to happen from minute to minute. Because I got a lot built up in me right now. Put me in a situation like that with him and you just don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I'm just not defending myself. I'm defending my girlfriend that you know as Gilda, which, by the way, is not really her given name, although she uses that. Her name is Gina. But that's not important. But the point is that he has made plenty of statements about her, and he continued to do so last night. He says, I got nothing against her. I never talk anything bad against her, but he continued to do so. Why would you want to be with this man? He's a pedophile. If I were you, I would sell the house and get the fuck away from him and not even tell him where you live. Oh, I feel sorry for Gilda, he says. I feel sorry for what? That she's in a loving relationship with a man? That I'm in a loving relationship with a woman? Stefan says, I think he's too fat now to hide underneath his bed. Good morning, Anthony, AJG. If you notice, there's been what I call a progression on his shows. More hate is coming out. It's like he has nothing to lose, and I think maybe he's thinking that way. that it's all over. And he still refers to his girlfriend as his wife, and he's never produced a marriage certificate because he doesn't have one. It's the same old Barry, all through the years. But then at least he gets to a point that he admits, hey, I know I'm a liar, he says. He goes, I lie a lot. Well, thank you for saying that, but we've known that already. That's why people can't believe him. He lost a lot of views. I mean, he was like left and right knocking people off his show. He almost lost it when somebody sent him $5. I thought he was going to fall off his bunk bed or something. You're going to need a lot more than $5. He keeps on saying, I'm not going to pay you a penny. Well, if the judge says you have to, then you're responsible for punitive damages, legal fees, whatever the judge says. You're going to have to do a little deeper digging, Mr. Digger, for those that support you that want to help you out. You got another possible $1,000,000 or something between punitive damages, perhaps, punitive, and legal fees? Well, if you don't and you're convicted, guess what? A little treat for you. You will stay, no matter what the conviction is, how much time in a prison cell. You will never leave that prison cell until you can produce that money that the judge ordered. So if we're talking about a combination of legal fees and punitive damages, which we will ask for, it wasn't about the fucking money. He said it was about the money. Money was never in mind. It was just seeing his ass behind bars. Nothing about the money. But it got to a point, like, why not? The shit that he put me through and my girlfriend, I will take every advantage of this that I can. Why not be able to recap some of the money I had to spend on this case because of him? Why not recap anything? Punitive damages. Hey, I'm going for the golden chalice on this. Whatever the judge wants to do, and hopefully does, he will have to abide by. And if he can't pay, then he gets to stay in his luxury accommodations, wherever it may be, for that much extra longer time until he can pay me off. That's it. He doesn't realize what a shit situation he put himself in. Maybe he does in some way. I don't know his cognitive ability. I question that all the time. Because any clear-thinking man would say, oh man, I got to shut my mouth. I got myself into this mess. I'm not going to get out of it if I keep on putting on YouTube shows like he does. This is what he has to say to himself. And I'm reasonably sure, that his girlfriend, quote, girlfriend, has probably given him many mouthfuls of anger, saying, you got to get the fuck off YouTube, or he'll stop in the middle of a show for 10 minutes. You don't hear him on because his girlfriend probably gave him a call and says, you got to stop saying these things, Barry. It's not helping you. Anthony says if he's required to pay you any money at all, that would kill him. Well, if he gets convicted of this and all that, then he will be required to pay something. And if you can't pay, you stay. That's it. If you can't pay, you stay. That much longer. Anthony says he values his little bit of money more than his freedom. Yeah, he'd rather do all this to make a $5 donation, get a $5 donation here and there or something. You know, this is a mental condition. He doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong. I could, without even knowing him historically in his past, I could pretty much come up with the conclusion that he's been bullied, He's obviously, from his own admission, been hurt by his parents, I guess particularly his father, and our understanding about this, that it was sexual. So I guess he'd feel pretty comfortable in a prison, wouldn't he? But yeah, it affected him, and I'm not making an excuse for him. If his father really did stuff like that to him, which I guess he did because he admitted it, that's a terrible thing to happen to anyone, even him. Look, I see things as they are. That would be terrible for anyone, and I understand his bitterness. But you can't go through life. He's a 50-year-old adult playing with game boxes in a cell. The stupidity of using a tool called a cell phone to continually make live streams on social media and understanding the whole context of this, that he's doing the same thing that got him these legal situation in court right now. You notice something wrong with him, something horribly wrong with this guy mentally to do such a thing. AGG says he had the Social Security all along, but did he use it to get out of jail? No, because he wants you to pay it. See, he wants to use this money for when he gets deported, and God only knows when that will be, because if he gets a conviction, it may be a long time he's ever going to be back in America. Then when he goes back to America, it's like, hello, bench warrants and everything else he might have against him. It's just, it will be a never-ending story for him. That'll be his hell. He's living his hell right now, but his hell has just started. Mama-san, he should be helping her. He could make rags for her to sell instead of playing video games. Like, it's right. He could be, she could teach him a trade, making those little rags she makes for like 2 pesos a piece. He's got all that time in his little tiny little cell, and he could be doing something productive to help her out instead of sucking her money. And you know he's doing that. Because as far as she's concerned, and I'll almost guarantee this, she probably believes that his Social Security disability has been held up all this time. But then he came on with a show, it wasn't terribly long ago. So, okay, it's all been cleared. I'm getting my money back now. Got that all cleared up at Social Security. It's just that I can't get to my check because this was something with the bank or something. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's been getting his Social Security disability all along. And keep this in mind, folks. And if you want to do something, you call the Social Security system any way you can. You write him, whatever you have to do. Because I think that because he has his bank account in America, they still think he's in America. And he can't be getting the welfare portion of Social Security that he's getting if he's living in another country. He can't do that. Here's your turn to contact Social Security. Stephen says, Barry is a child to Shaw. She has to take care of him financially and emotionally. Oh, yeah, he's lost without her. He said that, and I know that as a fact. He is lost without her. Other than Brevis, he has nobody else associating with him. You know what gets me about some of these trolls out there? We're talking Mick Fisher and people like that, Big E and all that. These guys, you know what? I know them to be very religious people, and I know Mick is religious. What gets me about Mick Fisher is this, and I've met him, you know, he's so religious, but I've seen his comments about me, mocking me. He does leave comments on people's shows about me. This is a man that I met who I thought was a pretty decent guy, but then I started to put two and two together on him. And all it was a mission to find that information from me. And that's when I stopped messaging him on Messenger. And I said, I don't trust you anymore. And he got to a point, he said, I'm tired of all this shit. I think all you people out there are a bunch of crazy fuckers. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. But he still comes on people's shows and he leaves comments and negative comments about me. When he met me and Gilda, he had no problem with us. We were nice to him. We were cordial to him. Anything but, you know. But Mick Fisher on the side, he's another fence jumper, as well as Big E. fence jumpers. And do note that they're both very religious. You wonder why I don't adhere to any religious beliefs or any organizations having to do with religion. Mick Fisher is a two-face, is what he is. I'll say it. He's a two-face. These people, they base their life on their religious beliefs, but they don't practice it. And Mick doesn't practice it because he's made these foul comments about me. I've seen his comments here and there on people's shows. Frank is this, Frank is that. On one hand, Mick Fisher would say, well, and Biggie said, both of them said, well, actually, let's go with Mick Fisher. Yeah, what he did was wrong. He belongs in where he is, but he doesn't belong to stay in there for as long as he did. Well, hold on, Mick. Immigration has him in there, Mick. Okay, and because he has a case on him, they have to keep him in there. I don't know where you come off with this shit. Like, I'm doing this to him. No. Mick knows that he's wrong in what he's done. Mick knows this. I've talked to him, not at length about this, but we've talked about it. His position, Mick Fisher, is that, well, yeah, I understand everything he did was wrong, but, you know, he's been in there long enough and to show some mercy on him. Well, you don't show mercy on me, Mick. I see your comments about me every now and again. And it goes a lot deeper with Barry than what you people know. It goes a hell of a lot deeper. Yeah, Barry is dependent on his, quote, girlfriend. Okay. She's his contact to the outside world other than his boyfriend, Brevis. Imagine giving him a baseball bat. And I can't get over that. If I didn't have the video, nobody would believe this. Nobody would believe this. Big E said it right to Barry's face. Does Shaw want to be part of his harem? A real godly guy there. I know Big E can't speak. I know that. I know a lot about Big E from everything I heard and from his own mouth. He's got a harem. Yeah, he's got a wife and a girlfriend living with him. What does that say about him as far as his religious upbringing and values and morals? I could go on and on about that one, but he's not my topic matter, really. He's living with his wife and he has a girlfriend at the same time. Go figure. Where's his morality? Where's his moral turpitude? You know, I mean, gee, you see what I mean about these people? They love to talk about me. Look at their lives and what they're doing. How moral are their lives? Yeah, a slugger bat in detention center. Yeah, exactly, raining cats and dogs. How did they allow this shit? How does he get away with all this shit? And immigration got videos of everything that was going on with him in his cell, but there he is, still getting catered to, using his phone, allowed to use his phone. Immigration did send him a paper warning him, but he didn't listen to even immigration about his death threats to me. He was reading it off, although he just read the warning on there saying that this belongs in the hands of who it was intended to be and shouldn't be in anybody else's hands or that information. But he went off and he read that right on here. He read the exact statement, the disclaimer, whatever, that the immigration people were saying in reference to the death threats of him in the cell. And he was reading the warning on there saying that this information is meant only for you, that he had no position to share this or talk about it on social media. Oh, you have a bar? Maybe foreigners come on my bar, they cheat on their wives. Well, of course they do. And I probably have to calm down with doing any more shows on this because I've been doing quite a bit, and this has been going on for a long time. Gilda hears all this shit, and I'm sure she's stressed out. Not happy with the fact I've ever been on YouTube at all. She hates YouTube with a passion. I'm always on here. We're talking about Barry, this and that. That creates tension for her. She don't need that tension. Well, she got a lot of that from Barry. And let me tell you something. She's not a happy camper in regards to him and or his girlfriend. I could tell you that now. And she is seriously thinking about doing something about this because she's had it with him. We had a long talk before we went to bed last night. I think that is her goal, is to get something going legally against him. Because she said herself, this has gone too much. I'm sick of hearing about Barry. I'm sick of Barry. I'm sick of his girlfriend. She said to me, what he did with his girlfriend was wrong. She has no PTSD. She's not depressed. Even his own viewers were writing him and saying that. How could she be depressed when she's out there having lunches with her friends? She's going here and there, partying with her friends. She's working. There's no depression or PTSD. That's why I'm so upset. Because look, if I did something terribly wrong to her and I actually did that, I could see her putting a report in on me. That was not a valid, acceptable report based on any factual evidence at all. I read the damn thing, okay? And my lawyers feel the same way. She did this out of revenge, mostly Barry's revenge on me. But, immigration's got the recording saying that he coerced his girlfriend and others to put a report on me to get me deported. Let's see what they do with that. Let's see what they do with it. Stephen says, I'll give Gilda all the credit in the world for being a strong person dealing with all of this nonsense. Yes, she is strong. But I will tell you, she is not happy with him. She has disrupted our life. Not all of our life, but we go on every day like we normally do. But he has created a disruption in our life, and neither one of us appreciate that. I'm 70 years old. I don't need to be dealing with legal cases. I don't need to be dealing with this intimidation, this inciting other people to cause harm against me. She worries about herself. She worries about her children. There's some psychopath out there like Brevis or something is going to do something radical. You just never know with these people. You can't live in fear. I'm not living in fear, but maybe she is. You're dealing with a fucking madman who's trying to incite other mad people to do something physical against me. Gilda is a very pleasant person. She really is. I mean, even Ricky, he met her. He does not have anything bad. Well, excuse me, he has. He still talks about the 8 children. He's just as guilty as Barry. But, you know, even with all the shit that Barry said about Gilda, he'll come out and say, I'm not against Gilda. She's a nice person, blah, blah, blah. Then if she's a nice person, why are you making all these bad statements about her and talking about how many children she has? Why were you calling her, messing with her children, saying the things you did? Why are you making whinny sounds in the past, calling her a horse, like she has a horse face or something, or horse teeth? We remember all that stuff. All the viewers heard all that stuff. History is history. You can't deny something that's already happened. She doesn't need this crap, is my point. She doesn't need this crap. And let's just say that there was a success, no matter what we tried to do on the deportation report. Let's be the devil's advocate or something here. He ain't just hurting me. Both of them. They'd be hurting Gilda. Financially, I help her out, although she has her own money. Thank goodness for that. But there are other expenses that I help her with too, that we help each other with. And supporting her kids and all the good things we do for them. I am her life. She is my life. And when somebody tries to disrupt it, you got a world war, you got a war on your hands, let me tell you that. Hell hath no fury than to mess with my relationship and my life out here in the Philippines. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to end this broadcast because I'm so tired of talking about Barry. I'm exhausted with this. He wants to back and forth. I know that's what he's looking for. Imagine him doing this from his jail. I'm just going to say one thing to you guys. I'll repeat it again. Oh yeah, don't forget the AI stories about Gilda's sick people. Gilda's Guild of sick people doing their turn. I don't know what you mean by it. Look, guys, you have to be a little proactive on this. And this is the last time I'm going to bring it up. You know what this guy does. You know what he's capable of. You know his lies. You know his whole history pretty much. It's up to you guys to be proactive. You do everything from writing Social Security. You contact the Cebu District Office of Immigration. You contact DOJ, Cybercrime. Okay? You contact the Bureau of Immigration direct. Do what you need to do to provide information for what you know about what this guy's doing in his cell, in which you've heard, and any information that you want to share with these, especially regarding this complaint. You will have to identify, I would never see the material. You will have to identify yourself. They will not take anonymous reports. I told you that. And you guys should do that right now. Time is running out. Any information is going to be helpful. I think we got this pretty well covered with me and the attorneys, but there's always that 1% doubt. And if you think there's a war now, you ain't seen nothing yet. How far I will take this. You ain't seen nothing yet. But I understand you guys being somewhat supportive of me in regards to him. I don't want to sound like Hillary Clinton. Is she the one that quoted that? It takes a village to raise the children or something, a family. Well, it takes a collaborative effort, not just for myself, but other people, to get involved with this in some way. Of course, it's a false report against me. It's up to you guys whether you want to help out on this situation or not. And I'm just not talking about the report. Overall, in Barry's situation, what you've heard, an attachment you might have on an email, you have to identify yourself, though. It's the only way it's going to work. If you want to contact me personally about any of this, you can on my email address, which everybody seems to be aware of. And if you have a concern about this matter and you want to contribute somehow, I don't mean money. If you want to contribute evidence, if you want to contribute a statement to the right officials, contact me or just contact them directly. That's all you have to do. This man has to be put away for a long time to protect other people in Philippines, mostly women and men too, where he has taken money and how he comes on his show. Who do I owe money to? I felt like if he was in front of me at that moment, I don't know what I'd do. Who have I taken money off? He obviously has mental issues. There's no question about that at all. He obviously has mental issues. And that's why the other thing I want to tell you guys is this. When you try to make comments on a show about something, understand you're talking to a brick wall. His mind does not comprehend what you're saying. It does not absorb what you're saying. It's like if you ever met somebody that was severely retarded, it would be very hard. For example, with a mentally retarded person, it would be very hard to communicate with them. They're in their own world. Chances are they don't understand a lot of things you're saying. Now, I don't know what level of mental illness this man has, but you cannot, he's not, has this he does not have this cognitive function. He does not understand his situation. It's like, hey, let me drink in my car, and maybe I'll have a car wreck or I won't, but I'm going to drink anyway. It's kind of like that. In other words, don't listen to solid advice. Don't, for example, like drink when you're driving. It could cause an accident. He's the kind of guy that wants to wait till the accident happens before he realized that what he did was wrong. All right, I've had enough even talking about him. I got to go on my morning here. Look, guys, be proactive is all I got to tell you. Be proactive on this. Again, I'm not your policeman on here for Barry Jordan. I don't mind talking to you and rapping with you guys a little bit and all that, and you showing some support me, and I really appreciate that. But you have to be more proactive than that. You have to be. Oh yeah, rain cats and dogs love to say a lot. Yeah, it's a false report. Well, why don't you tell that to immigration instead of telling me that, raining cats and dogs? Why don't you tell that to immigration? Why don't you write to them and tell them you know it's a false report and why you think it's a false report? Don't just make a statement, yeah, it's a false report. This is the kind of statements I get on my show from people. Well, let's see. Talk is cheap. No offense, dude, but I appreciate any support I get on here verbally, but it's, a little proaction on here, being proactive. Anyone, you, Mama San, all the regulars that come on here. Write to the Department, DOG. You could do DOJ cybercrimes or write to Cebu District Office of the Immigration. Look that up, the Cebu District Office. Put it the attention to the commissioner or deputy commissioner, whatever. Do it. Right. Tell them, but you have to give your personal information. It's the only way it's going to work. Don't even bother. If you're going to write them, attach your ID, proof of it. I'll never see it. That doesn't go in my hands. It goes in their hands so they can make decisions about him, about her, about whatever. And if you're going to do anything, I suggest you do that right away. Time is of the essence on this thing, and I want to get in everything I can in proving that his so-called wife is a fucking liar. You've been following me a long time. I think you're able to see the difference between lies and truth, fact and fiction. That's all I have to say. You want to contact me on my email, please do. You want to draft up something, you could check it with me. I'll see if I approve of that. And we'll go from there. I have one person supposedly doing that. Be proactive on this. He has gone way too far. But like I said, and I'll say this 1,000 times, if this was a different situation, a different place, there would not be any court sessions going on. Trust me when I tell you that. Just trust me. You have no idea. There's one thing of going out of the line, crossing that line, but he's crossed the line so much and so often and so deeply that I can't even put it in words, and I'm a person of a lot of words. There's a lot I would like to say on here, but I can't legally say it. Just read my mind. That's all you have to do. He will continue, and as he says, I'm going to keep on and on and on about this. Total waste of his own oxygen, what little he has left of it. I sang a song. Jesus Christ, give it a break. And that's all you got, huh? That's all you got. I sang a song. But I'm guilty of one thing. I'm going along with this chicanery. I'm guilty of one thing. The rebuttaling, the back and forth shit is so fucking worthless because you're not dealing with a person who has the capability of clear thinking and can absorb what you're saying, has the mental capacity to do so. Well, you heard from his mouth. You ever see that saying, tell it to the hand? You ever hear that saying? You ever hear that saying? Tell it to the hand? Tell it to the hand. Be in a government office. Talk is cheap. I appreciate you guys' support, like I said. I'm not looking for money on this fucking show. I'll never get that. But if you want to support me and you feel the way I do about this guy, and you honestly feel that this guy is a menace to society, a menace to women, a menace to me, a menace to Gilda and her family, there's where you get to shine. That's where you have to come in and shine on this. Otherwise, it's fruitless. Then don't talk to me about Barry. Because you have no right to bring up comments about Barry on my show if you're not going to be proactive, because talk is cheap. I take action, not just talk. I've proved that. Oh, the one thing I think I have a lot of laughs. He's laughing at me, but where is he right now? 22 months in a fucking detention center with the possibility of prison time. And he's over there doing shows laughing at me, calling me a liar, calling me a fool, calling me every name in a fucking book. He's his own poison. His own poison. Oh, by the way, good morning, Popeye. So instead of being, text active on my show here on the comments, be proactive. Be proactive. You feel the same way I do, that this man should stay off the streets? You got your chance. Well, I'm doing a damn good job of that right now. But now's your opportunity too. It's one thing to voice your opinion about this guy to me, and I appreciate your opinion, but it's another thing to take action on it. You see, you're not in my position, folks. If you were, you'd understand. This could be happening to you. This guy could have tried to message your children. This guy could have called you a pedophile. It could have ruined your whole career if you have a career, everything in your life. If you were married, you could lose your wife, your children, your place in society. All because of words. But his ideology is that it's just words. He doesn't understand what comes along with these words. He said, what damage did he cause? An amazing statement coming from him. He caused a lot of damage. I lost a friend in Brazil because of him. Yeah. What turned out to be a possible romantic interest in the past turned out into a deep friendship. And when she was listening to all these shows, because she told me she follows my social media, she has never contacted me again, and she always does. You talk about damage. You ruined a friendship is what he did. He put stress on my girlfriend and her family is what he did. Talk about damage. He did a lot of damage. Do you really want him on the streets, raining cats and dogs? Mama San and everybody else who's on here? Do you want to see him continually be on the streets to repeat these crimes over and over and over again? Well, he says he's going to be making shows over and over and over again and continue to defame me, continue to try to get away with the bullshit. He should not even be on his phone. We've established that. We have established that. But some reason, some way, and then he's saying that I bribed immigration. How many offenses does this guy got to have against him to make him understand that there's a proper way of doing things if you really want your freedom? He hasn't done any of that. Mama Son says if he's watching, he should start to help his woman make. Okay, got that. And Rain Dogs, he heard it from his mouth. Okay, well, voice it out. Raining Cats and Dogs says at A. Doriano Avenue, Cebu City, 6000 Cebu Sapir. Look, you need to write, you need to provide your ID. And there's a various agencies you can call. The Cebu District Office will be a wonderful one to contact. Look up the Cebu District Office of Immigration. That would be the number one thing. Secondly, I would write to the DOJ Cybercrime Division. I would definitely contact Social Security. You know, the motherfucker even showed my passport number last night. My fucking passport number, well, it's different than showing a Social Security number. Still, you shouldn't be doing that at all. As I said, I'm a person of a lot of words. I have the ability, the gift of gab. I can talk. I can communicate. I've got that gift. But finding me at a loss for words when it comes to this guy as to how deeply I feel about how sick he is, I don't have enough words for that. It has nothing to do with my education or not. I don't have enough words to describe what I feel about this guy and what the wrong he has done to so many people on so many goddamn levels. I'm not allowing him to get away with this. And I'm going to do everything under my power to make sure that the courts, when they make their decision, is going to give a proper decision on his conviction. All right, guys. I think I have to be a man of my word.